Constantine's mother was Helen, or Helena. And Helena, as rumor has it, was a Christian. It's possible that she was a Christian before Constantine was the emperor. And it's probably most likely that Constantine became a Christian eventually because of Helen. She helped convert him. Constantine claimed to be Christian to the Christians of the Roman Empire. He wrote them letters and said, hey guys, I'm a Christian too, like I'm one of you guys. But he only did this privately. He never actually publicly claimed that he was a Christian to the Roman world. So it seems that he was a Christian to the Christians and he was an emperor to the rest of the people. Constantine did, in fact, later give lots of money to churches. He even built the Christians' churches. In addition to taking away the laws, he gave them their stuff back, and he built churches for them. And like I said, he gave money for them. He even built a headquarters for the church leadership so they could have their own building in Rome. So that would make you think that he was a Christian, but he also did the same thing for the non-Christians. He built pagan temples for the pagan gods, and he gave lots of money for the other gods and their different buildings. So it seems that he's kind of playing both sides here. He's not entirely Christian, he's still giving to the pagan gods. Also at this time, there was a group of Christians down here in northern Africa called the Donatists. And they were a different group. During the time when Christians were being persecuted and they had lots of laws, the Donatists were willing to surrender their Bibles, surrender their scriptures. They kind of surrendered to the government and gave up. And a lot of the Christians didn't like these guys. So the Donatists are here in northern Africa. The rest of the Christians are here. So all these Christians here, they don't really like the Donatists, and they don't really know what to do with these Christians, these Christian brothers. So Constantine steps in and says, guys, I will judge these guys. You know what? I don't think this is right. These guys did something that was totally wrong. So Constantine steps in and judges them. Then he says, in fact, these guys are so wrong, and their type of Christianity is so wrong, that all of the other Christians in the empire, we need to get together and kill the rest of these guys, so that their type of Christianity is no longer spread. So he gets together all the Christians of the kingdom and says, hey guys, let's go to war. Well, these Christians, they're still following Jesus, and they haven't gone to war or done anything for 300 years with a sword or with anything, because they're pacifist. If you remember in the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus says, love your enemies, pray for those who persecute you. Those who live by the sword die by the sword. So Christians up to this time had never been involved in war, especially to defend themselves and especially to fight each other. So Constantine gets all these Christians together and they go on this huge war and start attacking northern Africa and the Christians that are there. So in this effect, Constantine led the first Christians to their first war. And that doesn't really appear to be Christian. Like if Constantine knew and really studied Christianity, the Christianity that was there at the time, he would know that Christians don't fight. So that's very interesting to see that. Okay, now we know that Constantine took away the laws that were hurting the Christians. And, that's good for them. But Constantine went so far as to make laws that were hurting the Jews. He picked a new group of people and said, you know what, let's take all the stuff from the Jews and let's burn the Jews and kill the Jews and that kind of stuff. And this also doesn't seem to keep in line with what the Christians are thinking of loving people and that kind of thing. That's not a very Christian move to do, to make these laws to persecute Jews and to take all the things from the Jews. In fact, Jews were even burnt to death for trying to convert Christians. Constantine saw this as a way to protect Christianity by killing the Jews. So it doesn't seem that Constantine actually was familiar with kind of Christian practices. Furthermore, I told you that Helena was Constantine's mom. Helena was a little weird. She even encouraged Constantine to put to death his son and his wife because she didn't like them very much. And so she encouraged Constantine to do this, and Constantine did. Constantine murdered his son by poisoning him, and Constantine boiled his wife until she died. So he's got 2 counts of murder here. He killed his son and he killed his wife. That also doesn't seem like a very Christian thing to do. In addition to fighting the Christians in northern Africa, Constantine didn't have enough with war. He waged war Not a defensive war, he made a preemptive war, and preemptive means you hit them before they hit you. So he made a preemptive war on all the people that were up here in Europe and the people that were here kind of north of the Middle East. And so all these tribes, he's making war on the Goths, the Visigoths, the Vandals, all these guys. And one of his more famous wars was down here, going back towards the Middle East. He took the Roman Empire, took it past Constantinople, and he went down here into the Middle East. This is Israel, Jordan, modern-day Syria, all this stuff. So he led this huge war against the Persians. This area over here at the time was called Persia. And when he took all the Roman Empire to this war, he encouraged Christians to come and said, hey guys, we can go back and we can take the Holy Land. We can kill all the Persians and take it for ourselves. So he was encouraging Christians to fight in this war. Now Constantine thought that he was doing a good thing for Christianity. He even assembled his tent, his headquarter tent. He assembled his headquarter tent in the shape of a cross. That is how Christian he thought that he was. And he also said that the whole purpose of this war, not only to take back the area, was so that he could get baptized in the Jordan River. That's why he was waging this war, is to get down there so he could get baptized. Now this is towards the end of Constantine's life. This is kind of his last goal before he dies. And they actually were defeated and held right here. He never actually got to the Jordan River before he died. And on his deathbed, while he's here waging war against the Persians, on his deathbed, he says that if he lived, he would promise to live a more Christian life. So it seems that although Constantine thought he was doing the right thing a lot of times, he actually didn't understand what Christianity was all about. He's fighting other Christians, he's fighting other tribes, he's murdering his son and his wife, and it just doesn't seem that Constantine actually knew what he was doing as far as being a Christian. Constantine has left a legacy. He's left his fame and his name, and people consider him... All right, stop. Okay, so let's review so far Constantine's life. Constantine built churches. He gave money to the Christians and built their headquarters and things like that. And Constantine also protected them from the laws that were against them and took those bad laws away. However, Constantine also went to war with other Christians. He killed his son and he killed his wife in pretty gruesome ways. And he made laws killing and persecuting and stealing from Jews. And so most people would look at this and say, well, this is not how a Christian acts. Constantine must not have been a Christian. But this reminds me, this list reminds me of another king who we do consider to be a follower of God, and that's King David. King David wanted to build the temple for God. King David got lots of money for God through the different wars and looting and stuff. King David protected the people of God for a long time. However, King David also has a big list of things that he did wrong. We know that David, from the story with him and Bathsheba, he slept with another man's wife. And then not only, if that wasn't bad enough, he killed the guy. He killed Uriah so that he could marry his wife. And we know after this, a series of bad things happened with his sons and all this kind of stuff. So David himself has quite a big rap sheet here of negative things against him. So it would appear here that Constantine's not a Christian, but David, who we consider a man after God's own heart, has a similar rap sheet. So is it possible that Constantine could have been a Christian emperor? This is what I want you guys to think about tonight, and your homework for today is to write a one-page paper over whether you think Constantine was in fact a Christian emperor or not. You can use stuff from this list, you can use things that we talked about today. You can compare him to David if you want to and go on that for a little while. But tomorrow I want a one-page paper about whether or not you think, in your opinion, whether Constantine was a Christian or not.